Now, this is the KhoodeelaarTV television channel broadcasting on the internet, not on satellite, not on terrestrial, not on cable platform. This is the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. That is the banner under which the KhoodeelaarTV television channel is broadcast. Baby Angel Geronimo is the world's most authentic witness, other than, of course, the witnesses that are daily recording, continuously recording the good and the bad deeds of the human beings as revealed in the Holy Quran. Baby Angel Geronimo has been witnessing the depravity and the criminality and the corruption and the injustice and the selfishness, the greed and the cruelty by those making decisions in the positions of making decisions in the name of the United Kingdom. Baby Angel Geronimo is vindicated on every occasion, and Baby Angel Geronimo needs no help from any of the media, any of the politicos, anywhere, and especially not from the conservative government, or indeed from the Keir Starmer-fronted cabal called the opposition in the UK Parliament. Baby Angel Geronimo is witness over many years to the criminality, the depravity, the corruption done against the innocents by the various organs of the state, especially given legitimacy by the criminals constituting the judiciary. So Baby Angel Geronimo is the most reliable, authentic witness. And the banner is the Baby Angel Geronimo editions. That is the reason. And Baby Geronimo is ahead in contextually, evidentially, factually, morally, ethically, transparently predicting the next depravity and corruption and criminality that will be perpetrated by the criminals, typified by the congenital Boris Johnson and the congenital liars in the evilness called DEFRA. So we shall be covering, commenting on the contemporary topical issues against and under that framework, Baby Geronimo's framework. We love Baby Angel Geronimo for the purity, for the innocence, forever. So what we are doing this particular edition is looking at some of the typical items in the running order. Well, the running orders are in the broadcasting networks, broadcasting studios and programs. They're translated in the following summary by our introduction. In print. So we say that today's key topical and contextual updates include Europe hotter than Sahara. That is page 1 of the I newspaper. This is absolutely significant. Then banks told to respect free speech. That is the actual front page. The lead story on page 1 of the Dirty Digger Rupert Murdoch's The Times London. Continuing on the National Front, NF, supporting nasty Farage, NF, who was described as a grifter in the internal memos revealed recently. One of the banks, especially the Bank of the Rich and the Royals, Coutts, and we call him NF, Nasty Farage, Nigel Farage, NF, National Front, because as the formerly overhyped investigative reporter journalist Michael Crick discovered while he was researching Nasty Farage for his book, because Crick has published, in my understanding, without checking the latest list, about 5 biographies, political biographies on British politicos, Farage being one of them. And when he was doing the research, Crick, of course, consulted, looked for the people that were in Dulwich, at the Dulwich School, Dulwich College, Dulwich School, contemporaries of Nasty Farage. And Crick came up with overwhelming evidence and recollections. The Nasty Farage was known as an overt racist and a fascist, while a schoolboy at the Dulwich College or Dulwich School. But the Dulwich College is actually a school, but it's called college. In keeping with the corrupt tradition of the public schools, so called, dubiously called public schools, they're private schools, like Eton College. Eton is a school, not a college, nor is Dulwich. But they call Dulwich College and Eton College. Now, the evidence that we, our movement, and I, the organizer of the movement, presenter of the movement, have about this little England, covering 7 calendar decades of direct engagement and studies, is that this country, the institutions, the establishment, etc., they are going down. And the fact that they are going down is evident in the agenda they set up to demonize baby angel Geronimo, the most innocent baby angel Geronimo. So we would say to anyone observing that based on the evidence, nobody who loves baby angel Geronimo and justice should wait any longer for the perpetrators of the criminality to confess. They will never confess. They will never confess voluntarily, but they will be forced to confess. as it says in the Holy Quran. وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلُ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ زَهُوقًا إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. They will be forced by the universality of the divine framework. Surah Al-Isra. So this is the promise, the pledge, the promise, undertaking, and the truth that I grew up on. And the first time I understood and I heard and I read, it was spot on, absolutely truthful, absolutely truthful. وَقُلْ جَاءَ الْحَقُّ وَزَهَقَ الْبَاطِلُ إِنَّ الْبَاطِلَ كَانَ زَهُوقًا. So what happens with the likes of Katy Balls? Katy Balls is the current political editor of the weekly Spectator. But that's just a tag. She is actually more active as a writer, columnist, commentator on other platforms and outlets than within the confines of the Spectator. And the Spectator is currently a part of the ownership of the owners of the Daily Sunday Telegraph. And by definition, they are far, far, far to the right. Racists, fascists. But Katy Balls, although she is employed there as political editor, is not personally somebody that comes across as a fascist or a racist. She comes across as an observer so far. And what she's saying today is that the sunk Rishi Sunak desperately needs media scrappers, that is to say, elements that will fight for their side in the media field in the run up to the by elections that are happening a week today, next Thursday, in 3 parliamentary constituencies. And that is an observation that Katy Balls has made based on her actual contacts. And so far, she has got her observations correct on things that she has published in the Times, in her columns in the Guardian, and of course in the Eye. Now, there are three editorial comments on the Times today. First one is burning injustice, and the second one is held to account, and the third one is the tale of the high seas. The last one is about the sea dog and the man adrift in the sea. Now, the one about the burning injustice is about the Post Office Horizon IT scandal. And the IT scandal is a reference to the executives in the post office, that the organization that owns and controls the post office branches across the country. And that post office executive persecuted the postmasters and postmistresses, the overwhelming majority of those being innocent. But they were persecuted under the false allegation that they were corrupt and they were abusing. They were abusing the post office access to the money. It later turned out that many of the postmasters and mistresses that were prosecuted were doing now such thing, that the actual villain was the post office's own Horizon IT system that was faulty, dysfunctional, unfit for purpose, and was causing the problems for which the postmasters and mistresses, innocent ones, were blamed by the post office centrally. So that's what the Times editorial, Burning Injustice, is about. And this is typical, because the next one is held to account, and that is about the continuing row among the politicos over Nigel Nasty Farage being, in effect, in our language, blacklisted when he was denied banking facilities, bank account. And what the Times is saying in the subheading under the held to account, the ministers must act, the British ministers must act to ensure no bank treats its customers as Coutts Bank did Nigel Farage. Now, there will be a series of world exclusive investigative pieces by me, which we shall be broadcasting, about me and the British banks. And it is absolutely, factually, evidentially, ethically, and legally, universally of a standard each under each category, that nothing that the Times says about Nasty Farage, or the Telegraph says about Nasty Farage, or the Daily Mail says about the Nasty Farage, nothing can match. So watch this space. This program, KhoodeelaarTV television channel, is world exclusive. We don't depend, and we don't crave, and we don't need friends or followers. We are doing this as standalone publication. And anyone who seeks the truth can eventually find us. The main point is to tell the truth. And everything that we say concerning main issues, policies, etc., we have a perspective based on our empirical engagement, concern. For example, we've got tales and tales and tales about the post office branches misbehaving towards customers. And of course, the bank, we have got decades of experience of banks abusing. And of course, the plight of the animals and the people that they are part of the family of. We have evidence of the depravity, the corruption, the criminality exhibited by Luthuraman as the fronter of the crooks called the Tarhamless Council. On the 15th of February 2011, I told Luthuraman in the middle of Brick Lane, that was Tuesday the 15th of February 2011. I'm not looking at the calendar to check, but that is most certainly the date. And I told him again what I had told him on the 29th of October 2010 outside the Brick Lane Mosque. I told Luthuraman to listen to me, to urgently sit down with me and listen to me and take actions against the criminals in that Harmless Council. Luthuraman promised he would sit down. Now that was 2011. And today, it's 12 years, isn't it? And he has not sat down with me. And damages that the criminals were doing, damages that I asked Luthuraman to stop being done, continued that is, have been perpetrated many times over. And the impact cannot be measured in millions or in few billions. The impact of the losses and the damages exceed tens of billions. Because after the election commissioner Richard Morey kicked out Luthuraman for 5 years and also banned Alibor Chaudhry as a councillor, Alibor Chaudhry volunteered to me during a chance meeting in Brick Lane that the previous 6 years of lies that he had perpetrated on behalf of Lutheraman were indeed lies, as I had been telling him they were lies at the time. So we shall be, of course, updating on all of these. In the clip that has been online since the 15th of February 2011, I filmed the video and I put it online. And in there is a very brief conversation with a criminal called Aziz Chowdhury and Lutfur Rahman in front of my camera. And the criminal, Aziz Chowdhury, was looking, as anyone can see when they view the video, looking typically deferential to me, and was asking Lutfur Rahman, alongside whom he was walking towards the camera, because I had positioned myself in a way that they would be walking towards my camera. And Lutfur Rahman said to the criminal, Aziz Chowdhury, that he, Lutfur Rahman, had conversation with me. In the Siloti language, Lutfur Rahman said the two words, Mat oise. He was telling the criminal, Aziz Chowdhury, that he, the Lutfur Rahman, had conversation with me. What he was doing was referring to the conversation that I referred to earlier, when he was going into an event held at the HIBA organization in Brick Lane, 164 Brick Lane. So we shall be updating on all of those, and we shall be sharing the updates on the investigative stages of the finds. In the Times letters, remember the Times letters are overhyped. Instead of being the representation of the truth, the decision to publish letters, the real decisions, are prejudicial, corrupt, depraved, and racist. Because after the death of the Soviet philosopher, thinker, and universal rights campaigner Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the gormless idiots at the Times boasted that they had refused to run Alexander Solzhenitsyn's letter while he was alive. It is the craziest of boasts that a so-called newspaper of records can make. Because had they had the enlightenment and had they published the letter that Alexander Solzhenitsyn had written while he was alive, had they published it while he was alive, then they would have become part of the wider ethical and moral movement that he will forever remain a leader of. Because Alexander Solzhenitsyn is a teacher of the type that the great philosophers of Greece were. And Alexander Solzhenitsyn was pivotal, central in the ethical and moral crusade, using the word crusade not in the sense of being against Muslims, but in the other sense. There's a category B, a battle determined battle sense. Because it was Alexander Solzhenitsyn that broke the real phenomenal story about the extent of the criminality being done by Joseph Stalin and his cabals. There hasn't been anyone remotely comparable to Alexander Solzhenitsyn to shed light on what Putin has been up to. So, if the Times morons had actually the foresight and had they published the letter that Solzhenitsyn wrote, and had they done that while he was alive, then they would have become correctly part of the universal movement for universal rights, freedom, transparency, justice. But they didn't. Which is where the Dirty Digger gets his name, Dirty Digger. He's not a campaigner. No matter how many outlets he owns and controls. Dirty Digger Murdoch, whether he controlled the Times when the Times, whoever was editing the letters page or the paper, decided to kind of blacklist or ban or obscure Solzhenitsyn in relation to that letter. The Times has not, in my reading of the Times, let's say, which effectively began in the late 1950s. The Times has not broken a story that has helped humanity in any way that can be mentioned. The Times has remained, as it always was, a vehicle, a corrupt vehicle for the Englishistic, little English vanity. Since the Solzhenitsyn letter, they haven't published anything remotely comparable in magnitude to his letter and the subject. I stopped sending letters to the Times after finding that they don't really have the interest to engage intellectually, ethically, morally. And it is really a significant waste of time writing letters and sending them to while I could be doing productive things like the broadcast I'm doing now instead of sending the letters. And my psyche doesn't depend on the publication in the Times or anywhere else or whatever I write. Now, today there are two letters subject. One is the Mets, that is the London Metropolitan Police's bad apples, and the other is the migrants, the propaganda about migrants. So let's check the actual letter on the London Metropolitan Police and their alleged bad apples. Now, bad apples is a phrase that, of course, is a corrupt use of language. because it justifies the corrupt whole which it depicts as not corrupt, and justifies that depiction of the corruption by blaming a small part. And it says it's from a retired police constable who is shown to be in Hertfordshire, in a place Pirton, Parton in Hertfordshire. Richard Hill. The Met, that is the London Metropolitan Police, clearly has too many officers who shouldn't have been recruited in the first place. Within brackets, police chiefs must be given powers to sack rogue officers. In the Thunderer column on the 19th of July, which is yesterday. When I joined the Metropolitan Police in 1985, there was ample opportunity to see if I met the standards required. A home visit by local officers, physical and written tests, an interview by 3 senior officers, an 18-week residential course, more exams during a 2-year probationary period, and finally confirmation by another senior officer who deemed me fit to continue. A return to that sort of thoroughness is long overdue. Well, that is only part of the story. I don't think that is going to solve the problem. But that is part of the solution, maybe. Now, the encouraging some migrants, deterring others is the heading of the main letter at the top, which has got 1, 2, 4 letters. It goes without saying that all the names are European. Large increase in visa fees threaten to have significant negative consequence for the UK's ability to drive economic growth and improve livelihoods through science and technology. And the second letter is the most notable omission from Matthew Paris's article. There is a good liberal case for stopping the boats. 15th of July. Now, Matthew Paris is a bastard. He's a cultural bastard, a religious bastard, and a racist bastard. This bastard is the product, biologically, of a Pakistan origin father and a mother. But this bastard is such a corrupt cunt that he competes, in effect, with the mental slave Trevor Terrible Phillips to come across as being the most dishonest, most depraved, ethnicity linkable promoter of racism, idiocy, stupidity, little Englishness, and all the rest of it. So let's see this particular individual who has written by starting with this one. The most notable omission from Matthew Paris's article was the word humane. To say that the Rwanda idea is one worth trying, as if it is some sort of game, would seem to suggest that those migrants fleeing for their safety and in many cases their lives should be treated as commodities as opposed to human beings. Unlike the appeal court and other informed sources, Matthew Paris considers Rwanda to be a safe country. Yet Rwanda's record would suggest otherwise. And there is an absence of any concrete evidence to support Paris's assertion. In other words, with nothing else on the table, why not give Rwanda a go? He concludes by saying the experiment might work, but might, in such a case of human life and death, is simply not good enough. You might as well just toss a coin. That is a letter from Michael Clochlon. I'll read that name again. Michael Clochton, Folkestone in Kent. And there is a letter from the man Earl of Sandwich from the House of Peers. Lynn Brown's article about atrocities in Sudan, times.co.uk, gives the Foreign Office a full agenda. But there is another dimension to attend to: the endless flow of migrants and refugees across the Mediterranean. There is plenty of evidence in Libya of uneasy collaboration between the United Nations agencies and traffickers or militia who run the detention centers like the prisons. No wonder people want to escape from them. Can the United Kingdom take a lead, set up a conference, and use its influence to improve these centers? Well, of course, this is another letter in denial of the main truth about the role of the United Kingdom state, and so on. So there are other items. The most important one that I want to go on to, which I haven't introduced in the written copy introduction to this particular bulletin or edition, the legal case against the Guardian. Let's find the actual piece and then we shall have a detailed look at that particular case, because I think that is a very rare event. A report in the Times about a court case against the Guardian newspaper, and the claim is for £10 million against the Guardian newspaper. And there is further, of course, promotion to the evilness, racist shaitan, nasty Farage, in a picture that shows him grinning again. Because it was the grinning, lying face of nasty Farage that was used or abused to seduce most of the people that were misled into supporting anything that Farage said in the wider kind of context of the Brexit criminality. Okay, so the item that I was looking for on page 17, will it come? Well, it has to become put in a twisted way, in a kind of sideways, like that one. This is the way that it has to be put. And it's just about. So I'll read that one. It says, the heading is a disgraced actor. Person who is suing the Guardian is a disgraced actor, and the case against the Guardian is for 10 million pounds. Well, if I sue the Guardian, and it has given me many reasons to sue it, it would not be enough to claim 10 million pounds at all. It would exceed several billion. Now, that will be detailed in due course, not in this particular edition. Now, this is on page 17 of the Times of 20th of July 2023. So this is the item. It's by the media correspondent Alex Farba. The actor and filmmaker Noel Clarke is seeking more than 10 million pounds in damages from the Guardian for publishing a series of articles accusing him of sexual misconduct and bullying. The 48-year-old, whose credits include the films Kidulthood, Adulthood, and Brotherhood, and the television series Bulletproof, lodged a defamation claim against the newspaper following allegations from 20 women that he said had had a catastrophic effect on his career. Now, this individual, going by the image, looks like a mulatto, that is a biological product of African and European parentage. The first article alleging Clarke was a serial abuser who had used his power to prey on and harass female colleagues was published in April 2021, days after he collected a BAFTA for outstanding British contribution to cinema. He was later stripped of the accolade. That particular award was rescinded by BAFTA, the caption reads, as well as general damages covering harm to his reputation. Clarke is seeking special damages covering financial losses. BBC News reported. So the Guardian spokesperson said that its investigation was deeply reported and research, relying on the testimony of 20 women, all of whom knew Noel Clarke in a professional capacity. We stand by our reporting and will be robustly defending our journalism. I absolutely loathe the word robust in every incident. Now, I was talking about if I took legal action against The Guardian, it would not be for 10 million or millions. It would exceed several billions. So, to detail those will take longer than the available time for this particular edition. Except to say that they cannot. They will never be able to use the sense what they're conveying by the use of the word robust in anything they say in response to my claims against them. And the same applies to my legal action against Emily Mate Lies. Emily Mate Lies used to be on the Newsnight BBC. But the perpetration by the liar of the perpetration of the lies took place just under 20 years ago. And for 20 years, this liar has chosen to not apologize to me, withdraw her lies, and offer a ethical, moral, acceptable settlement. I mean, she is the named one, but there are others that I haven't named in relation to her. Others can be included. And one of the others that must be included Bengali, not a Bangladeshi from Silot, but a Bengali father and a white mother. Who was alongside of Emily Mate Lies, working at the then Newsroom Southeast for BBC One. That one left the BBC and surfaced on the ITV counterpart, where she has been appearing for ages. And so the details will be, of course, by definition, elaborated on, updated on, and explained and stated in a full-fledged essay length edition or more. Now, after the item yesterday about Margaret Thatcher congratulating Tony Blair by using the words, "I admire your resolve," the other criminal in the Keir Starmer fronted crew called Rachel Reeves. Rachel Reeves is a Tory, has always been a Tory, and she has said, as accessed by the media in the last 24 hours, that, and she has the gall to use the word Labour. It's not Labour, it's Conservatives Mark II. When Conservatives Mark II are installed, if they are installed, to replace the Conservatives mark one. Reeves reckons that she will be she is currently the finance minister shadow, and she reckons that she will be the finance minister in the event of an election, and in the event of an election being followed by the formation of a government featuring Keir Starmer as the fronter and featuring his cabal, including Rachel Reeves, who reckons that she will be the finance minister in charge. No matter what the confidence level Rachel Reeves exhibits, the truth is that none of them, including Starmer, none of them has shown the capacity, the awareness, and the awareness of looking at the world as the world really is. Starmer is a stooge, Reeves is a and the criminal Wes Streeting is a murderer, because Streeting murdered an animal while he was at school or college as a kind of the limit to which he would go to show his depravity and evilness. What that shows is that Streeting would not hesitate to commit further crimes against humanity, against animals. So we shall be, of course, this is the KhoodeelaarTV television channel, broadcasting under the banner of the Baby Angel Geronimo editions, a banner. And we have been now broadcasting 57 minutes, 58 minutes. We shall be updating on all the key issues in due course in later editions. Now, there is, of course, a piece about Mark Zuckerberg, who is quoted as saying, "Don't worry, our artificial intelligence is stupid." We shall explore that for later editions. And we shall update on the rivalry being stirred between Musk and Zuckerberg. Who is doing the worst tiring is, of course, not yet clear. But both of them are starters and both of them are abusers. And the claim that I have been working on against Facebook is a claim that exceeds in terms of the value in dollar terms or in the pound sterling terms or in the EU currency terms. The actual value that can be claimed, and that's what I've been originally creating, doing research, would exceed the joint publicly known quote assets and wealth of Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and anyone else combined. That will be disclosed in the original essay length report that I shall be doing. This one is just a taste. world exclusive analytical taster. And we shall, of course, cover other items, including the latest obscenity and criminality by Luther Rahman and Tower Hamlers, and the latest lies by Rukhsana Fiaz in Newham, latest lies by the kind of role model that Rukhsana Fiaz stupidly recruited shortly after her getting in as the executive mayor, so-called, for Newham, the criminal Catherine Carswell, who is messing up Croydon Council. So we shall be on all of those in due course. This is 1 hour, 1 minute, and we're finishing at 08:35 GMT.